In the early morning hours of January 29, 2022, Boston police officer John O'Keefe was found dead outside of 34 Fairview Road in Canton, Massachusetts. The home belonged to fellow Boston police officer Brian Albert, who was hosting a gathering to celebrate his son Brian Albert Jr.'s birthday. Attendees included Sarah Levinson, Julie Nagel, and Colin Albert. Karen Reed, John O'Keefe's girlfriend, reportedly dropped him off at the party but did not enter the house herself. The following morning, concerned by his absence, Karen Reed returned to the residence with Jennifer McCabe and Kerry Roberts. They discovered O'Keefe's body in the snow, and Reed was allegedly heard exclaiming, "I hit him." Prosecutors allege that Reed struck O'Keefe with her SUV and left him to die. However, the defense argues that O'Keefe was attacked inside the house and that Karen Reed is being framed. The retrial has garnered significant attention with an ongoing debate over the events of that night and the alleged involvement of those present at 34 Fairview Road. And tonight, we are live from the courthouse in Dedham, Massachusetts, with all the big moments from today's testimony in the retrial of the century, Massachusetts versus Karen Reed. I'm Vinnie Politan. Thank you so much for joining us tonight here on Closing Arguments as week 3 begins in the Karen Reed retrial. And let's talk about 34 Fairview. This is the house. This is the house in question. That night, this house was very busy. There were a lot of people there. There was a party for Brian Albert Jr., so there were a bunch of younger adults in their 20s who were coming in and out of the house. Some of them coming to pick up relatives, some of them leaving. So they were there. And then you had the adults, the older adults, who then showed up after a night of socializing in downtown Canton at the Waterfall Bar and Grill. So there were a lot of people at 34 Fairview, both inside the house, leaving the house, arriving, taking off. A lot of action on this particular night. Now, on the front lawn of this home is where John O'Keefe was found. Near the flagpole, the fire hydrant. If you're looking at the house, it's to the left-hand side. And that is the place where either he was killed or where his body was placed after he was killed. That's what the jury has to figure out. But what is amazing about this case, with all the people that were in the house, outside the house, showing up, dropping off, picking up, no one saw the alleged accident. No one saw the crash, the murder, whatever you want to call it. No one saw Karen Reed's SUV back up and strike John O'Keefe. Now, those people who were inside the house have testified, and some testified in the first trial, and will testify later on in the retrial, that they are looking out the window from time to time. They see the car. These people are peeking. People are texting. They're walking outside. They're looking out the windows, yet no one saw or heard the crash that allegedly killed John O'Keefe. Also, no one saw his body on the front yard. No one saw John O'Keefe's body. No one, again, who showed up to pick people up, and no one walking out the front door on the way to their cars or getting in their cars and driving home from 34 Fairview. So there's no eyewitness to the alleged murder and no witness who saw the body until Karen Reed found John O'Keefe the following morning when she drove over with Kerry Roberts and Jennifer McCabe. This is a big issue. We're going to talk a lot in this hour about people who were in the house, people who were outside of the house, what they're saying, what they saw. But right now, let's bring in Court TV crime and justice correspondent Matt Johnson, joining us live from outside that courthouse in Dedham, where, yeah, it's spring, but it's getting chilly. I can tell you got the chilly jacket on tonight. So let's start, Matt, inside the courtroom, how things are set up, because you have such an advantage being there and being in the courtroom. Who's inside? Where are they sitting? How would you describe that entire scene?
Yeah, in this trial, you know, the retrial is so much bigger. You know, we talk about the size of the courtroom quite a bit, but if you're not familiar with the case, it's very tiny and very intimate. Outside the courthouse today, it's been cold and storming. It's going to rain all week long, which means inside that 200-year-old room, that courtroom, it is dark and stuffy. Everyone is on top of each other. It's turned sideways like a baseball diamond. From your perspective, you can't really tell right there, but the well is tilted sideways from the corners of the room. The O'Keefe family sit right across from the jury. The 10 media members stand behind them, or they're seated behind them. And then you have the O'Keefes that are just feet away from Karen Reed's family. That's Bill, her father. And, you know, they're so close. Everyone is so close in that room that they've now installed sound machines for the sidebars. And everyone could pretty much touch each other or hold hands if they wanted to in that room.
It's intimate, and you know, with both sides so dug into what they believe happened here, it's got to be a little bit awkward and uncomfortable at times. Let's talk about the witnesses today. Did any of these witnesses, people who showed up, people who were there, people picking people up, did anyone see John O'Keefe, the victim?
Yeah, no, they didn't. They didn't see him outside of Karen Reed's SUV, sitting or standing or near the lawn, near the flagpole. They didn't see him walk up to the house. They didn't see him inside the home, which is major for the case. But there was quite a bit of people at 34 Fairview on January 28, 2022, at the start of this blizzard. As you mentioned, Brian Albert Jr. celebrating his birthday, a lot of friends coming in and out, and the friends that are picking them up, including Ryan Nagel and Heather Mack. They were dating at the time. And Sarah Levinson, she said this today on the stand. Take a listen.
The yard is flat?
Yes.
You could see all the way out to the flagpole?
Yes.
You didn't notice anything unusual at that time when you looked out toward the flagpole walking out of that front door?
I didn't notice anything. I wasn't looking out at the flagpole.
So one of the key people that we have not heard from yet of this group is Julie Nagel. Remember, last year it was that bombshell testimony where she claims that she saw a blob near the flagpole that was about 6 feet long, and that was the first time that any of the attorneys had heard that. It was a bombshell last year, and we're wondering if she's going to be called this week, Vinnie.
Yeah, I have to think she would be, because you've got no one that sees him on the yard, no one that sees the alleged accident, and then from the defense perspective, no one sees him walk in the house either. So it's really a strange part of this case that the most important person, the victim in the case, nobody saw him. Nobody saw him that night. Okay, let's talk about one of the witnesses. One of the investigators testified today.
Yeah, this was another big witness, and for both sides, right? The state's case and also for the defense, because you had retired Lieutenant Gallagher with Canton PD. He was the one that had a big moment in court today. He picked up and showed that broken tail glass, or that broken glass that was found near the flagpole. He showed that to the jury today. The jury members taking lots of notes, but they were very confused also when he was talking about collection of evidence at 34 Fairview, which involved unusual tactics, including, for the very first time in his career, he said that he used a leaf blower to blow around some of the snow because he didn't want to use a shovel to collect evidence. And so far, he's just talking about the blood drops. No indication that any red pieces of taillight have been collected yet. The jury hasn't heard about that. But he was talking about the red Solo cups from the next door neighbor that were handed over and used for collection of evidence of blood. He was also explaining why the Canton Police Department had to recuse itself. Take a listen.
Was there a decision about Canton's involvement in the ongoing investigation?
There was.
What was that decision?
That we should recuse ourselves from any further investigative interviews.
And why was that?
Because our best detective, his name was Kevin Albert, and he was the brother of the homeowner, and I didn't want any potential bias, whether unconscious or subjective, to be perceived.
He's back on the stand first thing tomorrow morning, Vinny, and there's going to be still a lot of questions on cross about the Sally Port, all about the collection of evidence and these unusual items that were used. But there were some interesting things with his testimony today that were a little nuanced. He was really talking about the Sally Port being secure. He mentioned that a couple times today, which is a big deal. And then also he was talking about Trooper Proctor, and he said that he was one of the lead investigators. And Alan Jackson corrected him and said, no, he was the lead investigator. And he said, no, he was one of two. So I wonder if that's a tactic with the state for the retrial to soften the blow with what we're going to see with Trooper Proctor.
Oh, yes, it's called the minimization of Trooper Proctor. Oh, yeah, he was one of them, but, like, we had two, so the fact that you're not going to hear from one of them won't be such a big deal, folks. It'll be interesting to see if that comes to fruition. Okay, Katie McLaughlin. Explain to everyone watching right now who she is and why she is so important in this case.
So she's so important to the prosecution case, the Commonwealth case, because she claims she's one of the first responders that claims that she actually heard the words, "I hit him." And today she said, "I hit him, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him," 4 times. Other witnesses that claim that they heard Karen Reed say that or someone else say that, they claim that she said it 3 times in a row. So that's why she's important to the Commonwealth. She's important to the defense because she is a very troubled witness in their eyes. Last year, the defense had her as questioning outside of the presence of the jury in front of the judge. They were trying to say that she wasn't being truthful with her relationship with the Albert family. They were claiming perjury. They were questioning all of that. That was very softened in her testimony today that wrapped up for the day already. They were saying right away that she knew of Caitlin Albert, the daughter of Brian and Nicole Albert, the owners of 34 Fairview. But they didn't show all of the pictures of their interactions at birthday parties and vacations and things like that to this jury. Today, she was also asked about her relationship. But outside of the courthouse, it was also very interesting because Karen Reed didn't make any comment, but her dad did talk about her testimony today. Let's listen to it.
We don't have any comment today.
No comment today, guys. Excuse us. Excuse me. Sorry. Excuse us.
Good choice. It's cold and rainy out
I
here.
don't want to get your toes.
Anything about Katie McLaughlin's?
No comment. Thank you.
Another good week coming up. Looking forward to it. It was a good day today. The passenger seat, Karen's SUV. Nobody's sitting there, according to 2 witnesses. So I'd say it's a pretty good day.
Who else can we
concerned
expect?
about the Katie McLaughlin testimony? I hit him, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him.
Is that what? I don't know. I don't put much stock in that, to be honest with you. I mean, you know, we'll see. Was that transcribed by any officer?
Was it in any reports?
That's what I'm saying, yeah. More to come.
We also asked Bill Reed any indication of who's going to be called this week. Again, that's not shared with the media, the witness list for each and every day or week. And he said he has no clue, but he knows that he's not going to be called this week. At least for now, Vinny.
Okay. Get ready, Matt. Coming out next week. Going to be there.
Looking forward to it.
All right. Good stuff. Matt Johnson in Dedham. All right. Let's bring our think tank joining us tonight. Criminal defense attorney. He's a former prosecutor, Al Wunsch. Not one, not two, but the third. Criminal defense attorney Darnell Crossland, and also here, family law attorney Jennifer Brandt. All right, folks, I want to show you a piece of video. This is part of the investigation that day. The leaf blower to blow the snow away so they could recover the evidence lying beneath the snow that fell early on during this storm. Al Wunsch, innovative or absurd?
Necessity is the mother of invention. Okay? And under the circumstances, you have to try to figure something out. It's coming down. The snow is coming down. There is no other way to do it. I think it's very innovative. I also want to say happy Cinco de Mayo to all of our Mexican friends out there. And I think, you know what? Kudos to the police officer to come up with an idea of what to do. You're in a very, very tricky situation here. Nothing he's going to do is going to be considered right. If you see him there sweeping his hand across, they're going to be saying something about that. If he's got a shovel out, they're going to be saying something about that. This seems to be the least amount of intrusive for the purposes of trying to clear the runway.
Darnell, is this how they do it in Connecticut?
No, sir, Vinny. You have real proper equipment. And there's one thing that we do know about the forecast is that this time of year, there will be sunshine. In the winter, there'll be snow. And people also get hurt, and there's criminal scenes in the winter. So you prepare that if you're going to have a crime committed in the winter, which we do in Connecticut, that you have the proper equipment. I think this looks like a child show. And now to put somebody on trial, and they're facing a lot of years in jail, and you're playing with a snowblower, doesn't look too good. And I hope the defense zooms in on that.
Let me ask you, Jennifer Brandt, you're the tiebreaker right now. Is this a good look or a bad look?
This is a terrible look, Vinny. I agree with Darnell. I mean, using a snowblower, blowing around all the evidence, blowing it in all different directions. I think this is a terrible idea. It's amateur hour. It is improper, and I think the defense is going to have a heyday with this because it is just ridiculous that they didn't think or see that it was snowing out when they came out to the house, and they bring the snowblower out. Bad idea.
All right, good news.
What would you use?
A leaf blower.
What would you use? A what?
Al, we're out of time.
A leaf blower.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We're out
Wait
of time.
till the morning.
Wait till the morning, or maybe a sieve. Well, actually, what they ended up doing was waiting for all the snow to melt, and they found the rest of the pieces. All right, they're with us. We're going to talk about the eyewitness testimony from outside of 34 Fairview. Who did it? Help more today, plus coming up next hour. Tonight on Vinnie Politan Investigates, we know what prosecutors say happened to John O'Keefe, but what about the defense? They have their own theory. What are the specific allegations of Karen Reed and her team? Tonight, we investigate.
Join Court TV's Vinnie Politan with the latest and breaking true crime stories.
Now, let's look at the other side of all of that.
Vinnie Politan Investigates. Tonight, 9/8 Central, only on Court TV.
Does Karen Reed a killer girlfriend?
She's guilty.
Or the scapegoat in an elaborate cover-up?
Karen Reed was framed. We know who did it.
The Karen Reed Murder Retrial. Live coverage weekday mornings, 8, 7 Central on Court TV.
That vehicle is going to take a right onto Fairview?
Correct, sir.
And your vehicle is coming in the opposite direction?
Correct.
Where was your vehicle going?
Taking a left onto Fairview.
Did you both meet at that intersection?
Yes, roughly around the same time.
Who turned onto Fairview first?
The other vehicle.
How did that happen?
I believe Ricky flashed his lights to let them go.
Did you see the other vehicle?
Yes.
Do you remember what kind of vehicle it was?
It was a black SUV.
When that car turned right onto Fairview, how long after did Ricky turn left onto Fairview?
Seconds.
After that SUV turned right onto Fairview and Ricky turned left onto Fairview, who was in front of who?
The other vehicle was in front of us.
Was the other vehicle in front of you the entire time you saw it?
Yes, sir.
Did Ricky ever drive and park in front of that vehicle?
No, we were behind them.
Always behind it?
Always.
When Ricky pulled up to Fairview, where did he stop?
Right in front of the driveway of the Albert's house.
You were in the front passenger side of the truck?
Correct, sir.
If you looked directly outside that window, what would you have seen?
The driveway and the house.
The other vehicle, did it stop at the driveway?
No, it was probably like a car length in front of us.
Ryan Nagel, an important witness in this case with important testimony, and he's talking about arriving at 34 Fairview at the same time that Karen Reed and John O'Keefe are arriving. Let me show you in this diagram so you have a better understanding of what he is actually describing. So there you see Karen Reed's SUV and Ricky's truck. That's the truck that Ryan Nagel is in with his ex-girlfriend, Heather. And they're both at a stop sign, and they are both on Cedar Crest, and Fairview is the road in between them. So from here, Ricky is driving, Ryan's in the passenger seat, Heather's in the back, and Heather can see a man and a woman. Well, then the lights are flashed, as you just saw, and then Karen Reed's SUV makes that right-hand turn and parks in front of 34 Fairview. Well, then Ricky's truck goes and makes a left-hand turn and pulls up right behind that car. Now, this is unreal, right? Like someone arriving at the same time that Karen Reed and John O'Keefe arrive at 34 Fairview. So what they see is absolutely significant. Take a listen.
When you pulled to the driveway, did you go in to see your sister?
No.
What did you do?
I texted her saying we're here, and she came out, opened up the door. She looks at me and Rick and said, "Hey, do you guys want to come in? You know, for a drink or whatever." And I looked at him, looked in the back seat, asked Heather. We said, "No, we're all set. We're gonna go home." And so she decided to stay.
When you looked up at the house, did you see there were more than one door?
Yes, there were two doors. Yes.
Do you remember what door your sister came out of?
She came out of the side door, which is to the left of the garage.
Did you watch her?
Yes.
Where did she walk? From where to where?
She walked out of that door down the driveway towards us.
When she reached you, how did you have a conversation with her if you were in the truck?
I opened the door, my passenger door.
When your sister went back up the driveway to go in the house, when was the next point you had any chance to see the SUV?
When we were passing it.
When you were passing the SUV, where was it located in relation to the house, flagpole?
Directly in front of the house.
Okay. Was it anywhere near the flagpole as you drove by?
Probably like a car length from that.
A car length from the flagpole?
Yes, give or take.
As you watched her get in, did you glance or see anything else in your vision as you were watching your sister go into the house?
I saw that there was a woman in the driver's seat of the black SUV in front of me, sitting there with her hands on the steering wheel at 10 and 2.
You saw the person in the SUV with their hands on the wheel. How did you see them inside the car?
Their dome light was on.
When you drove by and you said you saw a woman sitting in the front and the dome light was on, did you see anybody else in the car?
No, sir.
Were you looking for anybody?
No, sir.
Could there have been somebody else in the vehicle at that time?
There could have been, yes.
Could there have been someone standing outside the door?
Yes, it could have been.
Did you ever see any person get out of that SUV that was in front of you?
No, I did not, sir.
Did you ever see anybody, any man, ever cross the front yard towards that home?
No, I did not, sir.
Did you ever see any man ever enter or stand in that front door?
No, I did not, sir.
Did you ever see anybody walk across the front yard to the side door?
Objection.
I'll allow it.
No, I did not, sir.
Did you ever see anybody enter that side door other than your sister?
No, I did not, sir.
As you were parked at the driveway the entire time, that generally 5-minute time, did you ever see anybody get out of the SUV and walk down the street towards the driveway?
Objection.
I'll allow it.
No, I did not, sir.
Did you ever see anybody walk past your truck and up the driveway?
No, I did not, sir.
Did you ever see any person other than your sister outside of those vehicles the entire time that you were at Fairview?
Objection.
I'll allow it.
No, I did not, sir.
So he didn't see John O'Keefe in the SUV, and he didn't see John O'Keefe outside of the SUV. What's going on here? Let me show you in another diagram what he's describing that's happening at this time. Now, again, Ricky's truck is the one behind Karen Reed's truck. Parks at the foot of the driveway, about a car length behind Karen Reed. Now, Julie Nagel will come out, not the front door, but the side door. That is Ryan's sister, comes out the side door and walks down the driveway and Ryan opens the passenger door, and Julie asks if they want to come in. They say no, and she says she's going to stay at the party. So they came to pick up Julie Nagel, and she ends up not leaving with them. Instead, Julie Nagel goes and walks back into the house, and Ryan is watching her until she gets in. Then the dome light in Karen Reed's SUV turns on as Ricky's truck passes. And that's when he said he sees Karen Reed, a woman, in the car, but sees no one else. Let's bring back in our think tank, Al Wunsch III, Darnell Crossland, Jennifer Brandt. Darnell, why is Karen Reed alone in that car? Why does he not see John O'Keefe inside the car or outside the car?
Well, I think Karen Reed's father said it best, more to come. You can't explain what's not explainable. So he's an eyewitness, and those are very important people. He says the dome light was on, and he only saw a woman. And so the prosecution's going to have to live with that, and they're going to have to, figure it out. But that's the state of the record at this point.
Jennifer, why does he not see John O'Keefe inside or outside here? Because if he's outside walking into the house, that's a home run for the defense. If he sees him inside the car, that's great for the prosecution, but he just doesn't see him.
Well, Vinnie, he also testified that he had his eyes on his sister. He was looking toward his sister and where she was coming from. She was coming from the side door. And on the diagram that you showed, Karen Reed's car was parked, or the black SUV was parked a bit ahead of him, like a car length ahead. So while he was focusing on his sister, could John O'Keefe have gotten out of the car? Potentially. But the bottom line is he only saw Karen Reed. He can testify that he only saw Karen Reed. He saw her in the car. He didn't see the car move. He didn't testify about seeing the car move or backing up on anybody or doing anything like that. So at least when he was driving by, there was only one person out there, according to his testimony.
Al, each side has their theory, but only one side has the burden of proof to prove their case. So if this is like, it's a wash, but is it really a wash if the burden's on the prosecution? Is this not advantage defense that this witness doesn't see the victim either in the car, on the lawn, or walking towards the house?
Well, and that's the significance. He does not see him walking towards the house. He doesn't see him in the doorway. He doesn't see him going to the one door or the other, the front door or the side door. He doesn't see that at all. So I don't, the wash aspect of it is the fact that one of the arguments the defense has raised is that he was inside getting the crap kicked out of him, and then that's what happened, and they took the body and threw it in the front yard. So if the situation is that, he's significant because he says, I'm there right behind it. I never saw O'Keefe going towards the house, going in the house, or approaching the house. So, I don't think it necessarily hurts the prosecution's argument at all.
Fascinating. This is unreal because this is going to be consistent with all these witnesses. Nobody sees John O'Keefe that night, according to the testimony. Okay, think tank staying with us. When we come back, did Karen Reed confess?
I asked if there had been any significant trauma that happened that preceded this. And she answered with a series of statements that she repeated. I hit him. I hit him. There was a woman next to us who told her to calm down, stop talking, calm down, you're hysterical. So she repeated, I hit him. And a police officer asked her, said, you what? And she repeated it again, I hit him. And the officer then signaled for his sergeant to come down to the scene or down to where he was.
That's Katie McLaughlin, another significant witness, one of the first responders in this case coming to the scene. And what she's hearing is an alleged confession, an admission by Karen Reed. I hit him, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him. All of that. This is direct evidence, an alleged confession by the defendant that she struck John O'Keefe with her car. Extremely significant. Take a look at some of the cross-examination here, because she's not the only witness at the scene testifying about that. And it looks like she may have, well, watch this and I'll tell you what I think on the back end.
At this moment, when you claim to have heard the "I hit him" repeated 4 times, where was Officer Flamati? I'm sorry, where's Firefighter Flamati and Firefighter Nuttall?
In the ambulance.
With the doors closed?
Yes.
In the ambulance, this is my ignorance, I'm assuming the engine was running?
Yep.
I'm assuming that there's some sort of a heating system inside that ambulance to keep it nice and warm for patients?
Yes.
So that was running as well?
Mm-hmm.
Yes?
Yep.
So with that door closed, those doors closed, how many feet away, by the way, from where we're looking? How many feet away? How many yards away?
I don't know. We were fairly close to the ambulance.
Further than you and I are from each other right now, or closer?
I think closer.
Okay. How about now?
I'm not sure. The ambulance was behind us. I'm not sure how close we were.
Right. At least a few yards.
Sure.
Okay. And those doors are pretty thick, secure metal doors that lock. Is that right?
Yes.
Obviously, when you saw them, I mean, I know you don't know what was happening inside the ambulance, but when you saw them, Firefighter Nuttall and Firefighter Flamati were engaged in life-saving measures with Mr. O'Keefe, one doing the bag, one doing chest compressions, as they entered into the ambulance, which you did see, correct?
Yes.
When those doors closed, would you presume, from your experience, that those life-saving measures and their focus was on John O'Keefe, that continued?
Yes.
You testified that you went back to the ambulance at some point and you told Firefighter Flamati and Firefighter Nuttall what you claim to have heard. You told this jury, correct?
I went back to the ambulance after that, and I told them what was said and gave them the demographic information that I got.
Okay. So in other words, Firefighter Flamati and Firefighter Nuttall heard it from you. You didn't say it to somebody else and they reported it to those two. They heard it directly from you, correct?
I went back and I said, I gave the demographics and I said, she's saying I hit him.
All right, Jennifer, looks like part of what the defense is trying to get here is that she's influencing the other people who allegedly hear this confession, so she's going to be the one that's attacked the most. What do you think of her credibility, and how powerful are these statements, these alleged I hit him, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him confessions?
Well, the defense is also trying to get at, you know, her relationship with the people in the house and the other people involved in the scene, and whether she was friends with them or not. So they are attacking her credibility to try to say that she's really not neutral in all of this, and she may have some incentive to, well, not say lie, but, you know, maybe didn't hear things exactly as she's portraying them. So I think that's where the defense is going. They're really trying to attack her and undermine her as a whole, not only these statements, but just her relationship with the others and, you know, whether she's really unbiased in all of this and her recall on what she actually heard. And, you know, and she's reporting that this is what Karen said. The people in the ambulance are not necessarily hearing it, and they're trying to get at that as well, that the doors were closed and they couldn't hear her, Karen, making these statements. So I think they're doing a pretty good job of trying to, you know, really set the scene and try to portray what they believe happened.
Al, let's dive a little deeper into what Jennifer's talking about here. Take a listen to this testimony from Katie McLaughlin talking about her connection to the Alberts.
You asked me if I knew her, and I said yes. And you asked me if I'm friends with her, and I said I wouldn't say friends.
You wouldn't say friends?
Right.
Even as you sit here today, you would not say that you're friends with Caitlin Albert?
No.
You wouldn't say that you've been friends for years?
We've known each other for years.
That wasn't my question.
We've known each other for years, but we are not close friends. We don't have a relationship, just her one-on-one. It's just group settings.
You grew up in the same town together, correct?
We did.
Went to the same middle school together?
Correct.
Went to the same high school together?
Yes.
You socialized with her.
Yes.
You've taken day trips with her and others.
Yes.
You've taken beach trips with her and others.
Yes.
You've taken 4th of July weekend getaways with her and others.
I don't remember that, but
One of your best friends named Michaela actually lived with Caitlin Albert at college, didn't she?
Yes.
And you visited your best friend at that residence where she lived with Caitlin Albert on more than one occasion, didn't you?
Yeah, occasionally I would go to visit the friends that I had there.
You would even spend the night in the apartment with them, correct?
Maybe a handful of times, yes.
You've taken photographs with Caitlin Albert, correct?
I'm in pictures with her, yes.
You've been to baby showers with Caitlin Albert over the years.
I have attended a baby shower with her,
Had
yes.
celebrations with her over the years. Correct?
Yeah, we socialize, like I said, group settings, social events. I will see her.
Okay, Al, how would you describe this relationship, Caitlin Albert and Katie McLaughlin? I mean, who's closer friends, Katie and Caitlin or Al and Darnell?
Well, I've been to a number of showers with Darnell. But other than that, we don't really socialize very often. I would say that, look, you know, I don't think they're scoring points with that aspect of it. You know, she's claimed she hears this. I don't think there's any incentive for her to lie with regards to what she claimed she heard. But everything is contextual with those things. I mean, you know, Vinnie, you've brought up, and I brought up numerous times, my cousin Vinnie, where, you know, you approach and you say, and then he's, you know, and then you shot the clerk. I shot the clerk? And then what do you understand? What they asked the sheriff, what did he say? He said, I shot the clerk, followed by, I shot the clerk. Now, it was a expression that was made out of surprise, and that he couldn't believe that that's what was being asked of him. And maybe that's what happened with her. I mean, maybe she was just like, I hit him? I hit him? I mean, it's contextual as to what actually that meant. She may have been as surprised as anyone with regards to what has occurred there, and is making a statement that anybody would do under those circumstances.
Darnell, 0 to 10, how strong of a confession is this, 0 to 10?
I think it's a weak confession, and I think Al, the defense didn't contextualize it the way Al did, and if they did, it would become even weaker. But I think it's around 2. I think it's important to answer yourself the question. She's on the stand, and she's testifying to what she heard, so that makes her a declarant. Hearsay is an out-of-court statement made by one other than the declarant to prove the truth of the matter asserted. There's some exceptions, such as excited utterances, etc. What she told the people in the ambulance will fall under hearsay and might not survive an exception because they didn't hear it. And it is being offered to prove the truth of the matter. So I think it's a weak confession. Al contextualized it perfectly. And with that relationship she has that's being exploited, I think it even makes it even better for the defense, because she's acting like we just saw each other in passing. If that's what they call in passing, I don't know what a friendship looks like in Boston.
All right, 10 seconds each. Who had a better day today, prosecution or defense? Jennifer.
I think it's a tie. I really can't say either one.
Al, who had the better day today, prosecution or defense?
Prosecution.
Why?
Because they're laying all the foundation down to dispute or disprove or whatever the thing about him being in the house getting beaten up by the cops there.
All right.
I think they've set
well,
this
use
up
your
very
10
nice.
seconds. It's 10 seconds. Go ahead, Darnell.
Like you said earlier, Vinny, since one side has the burden of proof, if it even comes close to a tie, which is here, it goes to the defense because, remember, they don't have the burden. So that's easy.
Al Wunsch, Darnell Crossland, Jennifer Brandt, thank you so much. We'll see you again really soon. When we come back, I will reveal something else you need to know tonight, plus coming up next hour. Tonight on Vinnie Politan Investigates, there are at least 2 sides to every case. And so far, we've heard the allegations of prosecutors against Karen Reed. But what are the counter allegations of the defense? Tonight, we investigate the alleged conspiracy and cover-up.
Join Court TV's Vinnie Politan with the latest and breaking true crime stories.
Now, let's look at the other side of all of that.
Vinnie Politan Investigates. Coming up next, only on Court TV.
You watched while your patient was lying there being tortured.
What else was I supposed to do?
So much for your career in caretaking.
Interview with a Killer season finale, Sunday at 8 on Court TV.
Welcome back. Time to reveal something else you need to know tonight. Let's take a look at the big board. Cold case arrest. Eliza Sherman, a case we've been tracking for years here on Closing Arguments. Her divorce attorney has been charged with murdering Eliza Sherman, his own client. Scott Knoll from Scripps News Group has the story tonight.
Prosecutors say Gregory Moore lured Eliza Sherman here to where he worked, telling his client he needed to meet with her. But investigators say he never intended to meet with her at all. Instead, it was all part of a plan hatched months earlier, a plan to kidnap Sherman to avoid having to try her divorce case in court. 12 years after he's accused of orchestrating the murder of Eliza Sherman, the street and driveway outside Gregory Moore's Sagamore Hills home flooded with police and agents from Ohio's Bureau of Criminal Investigation. The normally quiet home on McPherson Circle turned into a neighborhood spectacle.
It's really sad, yeah. Sadness, it is. And this is a quiet neighborhood. And we walk every day. We walk the streets every single day. And you just don't think about that kind of stuff happening in your neighborhood.
They say they didn't know Moore, really didn't see him around. But for Keenan Trimble,
I'm like, okay, I talked to that guy yesterday.
This scene even more shocking as the door-to-door salesman came back through the neighborhood today.
And he was like, yeah, no, can't really talk right now. I gotta go. I gotta finish mowing my lawn before the rain hits, and then I gotta leave town. Like, I gotta leave town quick. Verbatim.
U.S. Marshals arrested Moore around 3:30 this afternoon outside Austin, Texas.
He was actually at a family member's residence when we made the arrest on him.
Moore charged with aggravated murder, conspiracy, 2 counts of kidnapping, and 6 other counts of murder for the stabbing that killed Sherman. According to a secret indictment made public after Moore's arrest, investigators say Moore disconnected his phone from the cell network for 3 hours around Sherman's murder, an attempt, they say, to avoid creating cell tower location evidence. As she waited for someone to unlock the doors at Moore's office building, investigators say an attacker, either Moore or an unknown accomplice, circled behind Sherman, chased her down the street, then stabbed her more than 10 times. Prosecutors say Moore then turned his phone back on and made several calls to Sherman's phone to cover his tracks, then got a new phone days after the murder. As the sun set Friday and agents loaded bagged up evidence from Moore's home, his neighbors couldn't help but think of the woman they never met and the crime they never thought would lead investigators to their quiet street.
Nothing's going to bring her back, but at least hopefully they found the person who did it.
Tonight, Gregory Moore sits in a Georgetown, Texas jail cell. The U.S. Marshal expects he'll be brought back here to face a judge sometime in the next week or so. In downtown Cleveland, I'm News 5 investigator Scott Knoll.
This might be one of the most bizarre alleged motives ever in a case. This is a divorce lawyer who was convicted of calling in bomb threats to 3 courthouses on days when he was scheduled to go to trial, all to avoid going to trial. Eliza Sherman was supposed to go to trial that week, but instead of calling in a bomb threat, prosecutors say he had his own client murdered. This is insanity. We'll stay on top of it, obviously. Please take a look at your screens. We have a missing child who needs your help. This is Matthew Kenneth Hill. Matthew's 17 years old, missing since April 22nd out of Baltimore, Maryland. Here's what you need to do. If you see Matthew, take a look at his picture. If you see Matthew, pick up the phone, make a call, make a difference. 1-800-THE-LOST, 911, or you can call the Baltimore Police Department in Maryland. That phone number's on your screen right now. Let's see if we can get Matthew to a safe place tonight. Don't go anywhere. We have another hour of live true crime. Vinnie Politan Investigates is next. In the meantime, please don't forget to hug the kids.